president made a huge, huge, huge mistake in speaking to Washington Post investigative reporter and editor Bob Woodward. The guy's a snake. He set the president up, but the president should have been smart enough not to talk to him. And the reality is now that the people of the United States, their confidence in terms of Mr. Trump, and I call him President Trump, and I personally want to see him reelected. I don't say that as head of Freedom Watch or America's Sheriff, but it's been shaken. Now, the fact is this, and this is with regard to all sides, whether it's Democrat, Republican, or wherever, the American people have not gotten the truth with regard to the coronavirus, known as COVID-19. The irony here is that when the president says he downplayed it, that probably was the right thing to do because it's not as serious as it's being portrayed. The Democrats portray it as ultra serious because that's the way they can destroy the economy and get president defeated. But yet the president said, and this is why he needs to reflect before he talks, that it's much worse than the strenuous flu, that it kills people at 5 times that rate. Well, that's simply not true. But the bottom line here is this, is that no one can believe a word the government says anymore. And I don't care whether it's coming out of the president or it's coming out of the Democrats, such as Biden and Kamala Harris. Obviously, we don't believe them. They're a bunch of liars, they're deceitful, and they're evil. But it's destroyed the confidence totally. It's finally gone, completely gone. And yet people like my client, Dr. Judy Mikovits, are relegated to the ash heap of media history simply because she's pointed out that it's not productive to wear masks. You don't develop immunity. She's pointed out that Dr. Tony Fauci, who's come to the president's so-called defense, it was basically to save his own skin that he did that. The guy is not a man of integrity, that Fauci actually sent the seeds of the coronavirus to the Chinese. And that was what gave rise to what obviously is a bioweapon. And that's why the president, who had intelligence, obviously, he knows it's a bioweapon. He knows that it can have the potential of morphing into different forms, however serious it may be. That's why the president needs to come clean with the American people. It all needs to be laid out on the table right now, because if he doesn't lay it out on the table, he has a good chance of not winning. And when that happens, this country goes down for the final count. And Dr. Mikovits needs to be heard, and other people like her need to be heard. It doesn't need to be drowned out by either political party. And then ask yourself this question. If this thing was as severe as the president says it was, why are we basically just messing around with not granting visas to Chinese students and closing down one consulate in China? Why is it that Freedom Watch has to bring the class action in Dallas, Texas, and in Jerusalem, Israel? And I might say the case in Israel's going even faster than our own justice system, which frankly is totally corrupt, top to bottom, almost totally corrupt. There are very few judges out there that have the guts to take things on. And that applies to the Trump judges too. The president just listed some Supreme Court justices yesterday. I would suggest that he doesn't even know who he thinks should be Supreme Court justice. This is given to him by the Federalist Society, a Republican establishment hack lobbying group. And that's why, in my experience, his judges are a little better than Obama and Clinton's. Okay, they have no guts. Obama and Clinton's are just totally off the rails in terms of being ultra leftist, but his guts, his judges that he's picked have no guts to take on hard issues. So this is the lesson to be learned here, is that the American people need complete candor. We need to be told the truth by all sides, and we need to do it for ourselves. And that's the theme of my new book. It takes a revolution, forget the scandal industry. We're tired of hearing the garbage coming out of Hannity, who's just simply a cheerleader for the president. We need to know what's going on. We need to support the president. And Larry Klayman personally has been, in effect, his lawyer for the last 4 years. But we've got to have tough love now. And he's got to think things through, because giving interviews to Bob Woodward harms us as well as it harms him if we get these very evil ultra-leftist radicals in power in the next election. And that's Biden and Kamala Harris. And let's talk about law and order. It's not enough to say, state and local officials, you need to take action. I can't take action unless you invite me in to do it. Well, he has emergency powers. He needs to declare it now. He needs to show that he's the president of the United States. He cannot be afraid, and he cannot play politics anymore with this issue. And that's why I founded with Sheriff Joe Arpaio, America's Sheriff. We can be the hamburger helper here. We will defend the police. We will go after these radical leftists that are trying to destroy law and order. But the president needs to join us in that regard, just like he needs to have his attorney general, who's absolutely worthless, join us with regard to indicting Comey, McCabe, the rest of them, Obama, Clapper, and Biden. And also with regard to the Chinese, support our citizens class action lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, and Jerusalem, Israel. And you can go to freedomwatchusa.org and sign up for that. See if you qualify. Support us in our Justice League. And go to americassheriff.org. That's with two S's in the middle, americassheriff.org. And support Sheriff Joe Arpaio and I in trying to restore law and order in this country, because our attorney general just sits there playing patty cakes, hiding under his desk. It's not enough just to lock up 1,000. They should be locking up tens of thousands right now, trying them, convicting them, and throwing them in prison where the sun don't shine. This is the message for today, is that we have to do it for ourselves. And that's why go out and purchase a pre-order copy of It Takes a Revolution. Forget the scandal industry. We, the American people, must do it for ourselves, as our founding fathers did in 1776. Yes, we must support the president. Yes, Larry Klayman's going to vote for him. Yes, Larry Klayman has in effect been his lawyer for the last 4 years, because his lawyers, frankly, sent him through a witch hunt, which didn't need to happen. If they had been stronger, he wouldn't have had to endure that, as I was with regard to Dr. Jerry Corsi, where we fought back, where we sued Robert Mueller, where we held him accountable. Corsi was indicted, Roger Stone was not indicted, Roger Stone was. You have to be aggressive in today's world, or you'll perish. And that's what the American people need to understand. So go purchase It Takes a Revolution. Forget the scandal industry. We need to rise up ourselves. By doing that, we support President Trump. By doing that, we tell him the truth. We just don't tell him what he wants to hear, like Hannity. We have to tell him what he needs to hear. And that is, be yourself, be bold, tell the people everything. Let us make a decision for ourselves. They will respect you, and be careful. Don't give interviews to despicable individuals like Bob Woodward. I've dealt with him myself. I dealt with him at Judicial Watch. He met with me in a closed door setting at Billy Martin's Tavern in Georgetown. Didn't even want to be seen with a conservative. This guy is pure evil as well, and he set the president up. So, President, tell us everything we need to hear. We're behind you. We will support you. I, Larry Klayman, wants you to win, and so does Sheriff Joe Arpaio in our personal capacities. We're your best friends, not the people, with some exceptions, that claim to be your friends. So God bless you. God bless your family. Stay safe. We're in for a big fight, regardless of who wins the election this November. We need to do it for ourselves. Even if Trump wins, he's there only for 4 years. This country's headed down fast. Your kids and grandkids are in dire trouble, and we want to leave this country in a condition and in a way that it is a credit to the vision and conception of our founding fathers, so it continues for many centuries, if not thousands of years more. We have come to the point in 244 years that it took the Roman Empire over 2,000 years to do. We have the barbarians inside of our gates. We, the American people, must rise up. So get off the couch, put the Diet Coke down, put the popcorn down, join us at Freedom Watch and americassheriff.org, and let's get to work. We need to do it for ourselves with God's grace. Share this podcast, which you can find at freedomwatchusa.org, at radioamerica.com, at iTunes, Spotify, Parler, Parler, Parlay in French, Twitter, Facebook, Roku, everywhere. Get it out far and wide. This is the clarion call. We, the American people, must rise up, and go purchase my book, because I actually have real solutions other than just voting for the president, unlike Hannity, in that book. I want you to read it, digest it, understand it. And it's called It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry. You can find it at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BooksAMillion.com, Borders.com. You can find it everywhere. Buy it, read it, digest it, It is a way that we can save this country. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.